Welcome to Dreaded.
Friends, gather your attention and listen closely. Before I open this vessel of bitter truths, I ask one thing. If you wish to hear more stories that others dare not tell, if you want to uncover lies and face the truths hidden beneath them, then let this voice stay with you. Subscribe so that each time I speak, the words will find you. They say justice is blind, with her eyes covered, holding scales that weigh all men equally. But I tell you this, the blindfold is torn. She sees wealth, she sees status, she sees the shine of gold, and when it is placed in her hands, the scales tilt. For the poor, justice is a predator. For the rich, justice is a shield. Anatole France once said, "The law, in its majestic equality, forbids the rich and poor alike to sleep under bridges, beg in the streets, and steal bread." It is a cruel joke, for only the poor ever face punishment for such acts. Plato warned long ago that justice in the life of the state is possible only if it first resides in the hearts of the citizens. But where money rules the heart, justice cannot live. Cicero said, "The more laws, the less justice." And today, though laws multiply, the gap between rich and poor only widens. And this is not a truth of one land alone. This is the reality of the so-called Western democracies, the nations that boast of fairness and equality. Their history is written in stories that reveal how justice belongs only to those who can afford it. Let us walk through these stories, one by one. Story 1. O.J. Simpson, when fame bought freedom. In 1995, the world stopped to watch a courtroom drama unlike any other. O.J. Simpson, football legend, Hollywood celebrity, stood accused of murdering his wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ronald Goldman. The evidence was strong. Blood trails, DNA matches, a glove at the crime scene. A poor man with such evidence against him would never have walked free again. But O.J. was not poor. He assembled what the world called the Dream Team. Lawyers who charged fortunes, masters of twisting language, building doubt, and bending the ear of a jury. After a long trial broadcast across the globe, the verdict came, not guilty. Outside the courthouse, two rivers of emotion clashed. Some cheered in relief, others screamed in disbelief. For many, it became a symbol that wealth, fame, and influence can bend the scales of justice. The families of the dead were left with grief and silence, while O.J. walked away. Story 2. The Wall Street Collapse, 2008, when thieves were rewarded. Fast forward to 2008. Banks and financiers, hungry for profit, built an empire of lies. They sold poisoned wealth to the people, and when the empire crumbled, the world was thrown into chaos. Homes were lost, jobs disappeared, families were broken, entire nations faced ruin. So what happened to the bankers? How many stood trial? How many went to prison? The answer? Almost none. Instead, governments bailed them out. While ordinary people stood in food lines, the men who caused the disaster drank champagne in their glass towers. The outrage spread like fire. Crowds filled the streets of New York in the Occupy Wall Street movement. London, Madrid, Athens, everywhere. People shouted, "Why must the poor pay for the sins of the rich?" But the rich were untouchable. The system that should have punished them instead protected them, for it was built on their wealth. Justice had no sword for them, only a cushion. Story 3. Jeffrey Epstein, the Untouchable. Jeffrey Epstein, a man whose crimes against children should have buried him beneath the weight of the law. Yet his wealth, his influence, and his powerful friends kept him beyond reach. In 2008, when charges came, he struck a secret deal: 13 months in a county jail with freedom to leave during the day. Imagine a man accused of such horrors still able to walk freely under the sun. The public was outraged. The whispers grew. The rich can buy silence. The rich can buy escape. Years later, in 2019, Epstein was arrested again. This time, the evidence was overwhelming. But before a trial could begin, he was found dead in his prison cell. They called it suicide. Many believed it was a silencing, for he carried the secrets of the powerful. And so once more, justice slipped away, leaving only anger in its place. Story 4. Brock Turner, the Golden Boy. Brock Turner, a young Stanford student, was caught assaulting an unconscious woman behind a dumpster. Witnesses restrained him. The crime was undeniable. Yet when it came to sentencing, the judge gave him only 6 months in jail. He served 3. The reason? The judge said a longer sentence would have a severe impact on him. The world erupted. Newspapers screamed. Women marched. Social media roared. People asked, if this man had been poor, nameless, or of another skin, would he have walked so lightly? The answer was clear. Wealth, status, and privilege softened the hand of justice. The numbers tell the story. Let us step back and look at the cold truth of numbers. Nearly 80% of criminal defendants in the United States cannot afford their own lawyer. Poor defendants are 80% more likely to be convicted than wealthy defendants charged with the same crime. 95% of death row inmates were too poor to afford their own lawyer. In the UK, cuts to legal aid mean thousands stand before judges without counsel, forced to defend themselves against trained prosecutors. The statistics do not lie. Poverty and justice do not walk in hand. Each story, Simpson, Epstein, Wall Street, Turner, was followed by waves of anger. Streets filled, voices rose, writers sharpened their pens, citizens demanded reform. Yet time passed, the headlines faded, the powerful remained untouched, and the truth stood tall, unshaken. In the West, as in many lands, justice is not blind, she is merely expensive. So what do we learn? That justice is not blind. That justice does not belong to all. That justice belongs to those who can afford her. The poor man who steals bread is punished. The rich man who steals nations is rewarded. The cycle repeats. Outrage rises, then fades, and the scales tilt once more to the side of the wealthy. If these truths speak to you, if these stories reveal what you have long suspected, do not let this voice be lost. Subscribe so that more truths may reach you, more lies may be unmasked. For the world does not suffer a lack of laws, it suffers a lack of justice.